Warning. The following video is not intended for an audience under the age of 13. Do not watch the video without a guardian or parent present. That is all.
Okay, so, hey guys, I'm not sure how to break this to you, but I'm kind of sick of the intro I've been touting for the past dozen episodes, but unfortunately I didn't give myself enough time to think of a new one, so, yeah. Let's get on with the theme song, I guess. Okay, Maya, I appreciate your suggestions, but those all feel a bit long. I'd rather we have something a bit more quick and succinct, you know? Oh, haha, very funny. Whatever. Keep your mouth shut, you sassy piece of dimension-faring AI. I ain't got time for your bullshit. So, welcome to yet another episode of It Figures, and if you can tell, I'm deathly tired of saying Rumble is red, Frenzy's blue every episode. For reasons not the least of which being that, well, I hate people assuming that that's my actual opinion of who I think is red and who I think is blue. I don't actually give a dang in the slightest which is Rumble and which is Frenzy. I just like asking people what they think is right and then saying I think the opposite just to annoy them. But enough of the pleasantries. Let us begin our analysis of Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Earthrise Deluxe Class Wheeljack. You know, I'm awfully glad I talked to Dr. Lockdown about this figure because, in all honesty, I was gonna ignore the fact that the proportions are kind of all to piss. Don't get me wrong, it's better than Classics Mirage, but not by much. Fortunately, I managed to get the head height of the figure.
Best match!
And he's 8 heads tall. Yup, that should be the norm for a figure like this, or at least in terms of like regular character design. However, the crotch shouldn't be as big as the head. And the arms should only be around 3 heads tall. 3 or 4-ish, I guess. Then we've got the fact that the legs shouldn't be 5 heads tall. They should be around 4. Again. But for some reason, I don't really care about that all that much. Unlike the last generation's Wheeljack, his backpack isn't bad at all. Some have also tried to tell me that the weird wings that Wheeljack always sports on his back don't really work, but I don't think so. They look fine to me. And his articulation isn't that bad either. We've got up and down here at the shoulder, a shoulder rotation, bicep swivel that is inhibited by the transformation, but I don't really care. Ball joint here at the neck, a waist swivel here that's a bit too high for its own good. Seriously, he's got 10% more leg than he really needs to. We've also got a wrist swivel, a thigh swivel, kick forward here at the leg, a bend here at the knee that only goes 90 degrees, toe bend, and ankle pivot. And yeah, that's your lot. In fact, it's actually a double toe bend here. And the toe bend does add more range than you'd expect, but needless to say, he has got some great posability. Now then, it's time to come to the second complaint people have had. And those are his colors. A lot of people say that these colors look a bit too desaturated for their own tastes, and to which I say, yeah, I can see your point. I mean, give the desaturated colors all the flack you want, but at least they're not as glaring as Generation 2. Oh my god! Okay, while my lungs recover from the screaming and my eyes the retinal fatigue, let's get back to the review. Honestly, the color scheme just works for me, and I have no idea why or how I can put my finger on it. I just like the olive green and the rusty red and the creamy white. Much more so than I did on old Apeface. His creamy white did not work. But seeing as how we have moved the figure to the light box, it's time for the size comparisons because, well, we're not going to be seeing it relative to me, and it's not like everyone knew my real height. Not that I'm going to tell any of you, that's kind of private information. So here we go. Here we have Wheeljack next to his friend, fellow engineer, and sometimes actor Hoist, the combined robot mode of Energon Perceptor, the individual robot modes of the minicons that comprise Perceptor, Ratchet, the Medic, Siege Red Alert, the leg of my Earthrise sound barrier that broke off, a standard ordinary can of sparkling water, a Q-Tama, RKF series Kamen Rider Waz, and of course, Decepticon Dead End! So overall, Wheeljack's robot mode is actually really fun, and okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. When I originally bought this figure, it was the one I was looking forward to the least. However, now that I have it, I have to say that it's one of my favorites, if not my most favorite, Wave 1 Deluxe. And I know how pretentious that sounds because, well, we haven't gotten any from Wave 2, but I genuinely love this figure, and I cannot wait for the exhaust repaint, which we know is happening. My one final complaint is, well, annoyingly, the missile launcher. I really like its design, but the paint has started to chip off, and I really wish they had molded it in, well, black instead of in white. In fact, here's a better look at the gun to show you the paint chipping on it. As you can see here, the white is starting to show at some points, though I'm fairly certain that it probably would still be there if I hadn't handled it like a complete chimp. Now then, downshift, Wheeljack, transform!
Like a speed,
Now then, here's a question. Is it bad that I like this car mode as much as I do? I mean, from a design perspective, as a car, it looks great. And while, yes, I do respect the lazy eyebrow reviewers' take on this figure in that it is an imperfect representation of the, well, car that it's based off of, the Stratos, I believe. I can't be bothered to check right now. I still think that the colors and the deco that we have on the figure are pretty cool for the most part. And can I just say how much I love these little, like, logos and fake sponsorships here on the side? They look amazing, in my opinion at least. Let's see if we can't get a better look at them. Now then, for those of you who are either A, too lazy to read it yourself, or B, are incapable of reading it yourself, let me tell you what each of these logos say starting from the bottom and working my way up. First we have the name Cybertron written in Japanese, because, you know, that's what the Autobots were called in Japan. Then after that, we have Cybertron Con, then Praxis, maybe like Straxis or maybe G-Axis, Protehex, hey! Velocitron Racing 1981, Swerve, Ricochet, his number, Cybertron Con again, Rally X, Autobot Tracks, Yoshada Key, Modulator, Icon, Invenzion, Modulator again, Invenzion again, and finally, Wheeljack. One of the arches for the car mode's back tires as well as the spoiler both rock the Aerobolt logo along with Cybertron again. And if there's any one thing I have to find fault with in the car mode, it's unfortunately the windshield. Now then, this sentiment has been echoed by many people. Between myself, Dr. Lockdown, TJ Omega, the list can go on forever. But clear plastic should not be used in certain situations. Light piping? Go ahead and knock yourself out. Weapons and other accessories? I guess as long as the peg isn't made out of clear plastic, we'll be fine. Cockpits made out of clear plastic? Those work too. Hinge joints, I guess those don't work nearly as well. Pieces of kibble that are attached to non-translucent pieces of plastic, those are fine too. Tight joints, not really a good thing, and unfortunately, that is exactly what happened with Wheeljack's front section. Now then, as you can see here, there's a crack that is formed clearly within this little piece here. And what makes it even worse is that it happened with both of these pieces. As long as you're careful with the figure, you should be fine, but clear plastic should not be used in a situation like this. I really don't want you guys to break at this thing, because like I've said before, it is immeasurably fun to play with and fiddle around with. Though, I do wish that they had included a second missile launcher. I know that's ironic, I know that's an ironic thing to say considering that I said that I don't like the missile launcher. But I do think it would have helped make the robot mode more symmetrical. Anyways, it's time for our size comparisons again. Here's Earthrise Wheeljack again, albeit in his car mode, next to the alt modes of the 3 minicons that comprise Energon Perceptor. Earthrise Hoist's vehicle mode, Siege Ratchet, Siege Red Alert, a standard can of sparkling water, a standard Qtama, RKF Kamen Rider Woes, and the alt mode of Prime Decepticon Dead End impersonating a forklift, I guess.
They tried to kill me with a forklift, huzzah!
So, what are my overall thoughts about Wheeljack? Well, he's really good, but I don't think he's for everyone. I mean, between the desaturated colors, the clear plastic for the windshield, and so forth, there are a lot of flaws with it, and honestly, they might be a bit much for you to forgive. But for me, he's my favorite of the deluxes in the Wave 1. I know that might be something that's a bit ridiculous to say considering it's just Wave 1, but honestly, I was looking forward to Wheeljack the least, and he honestly blew my mind despite the fact that I wasn't looking forward to him. So, yeah, I'd have to say that out of 10, I'd definitely give him an 8.5. He's definitely not perfect, but he's far from the worst figure in the line. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, so please remember to like it, comment it, and of course share it with your friends, and if you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time. Firebite27, over and out.